Clinton here from Bat and Ball Cricket. Guys, thanks for checking in for another one of my videos. Guys, this is episode number 1 for season 2018-19. What I've decided is to get in and do a review of a number of videos or a number of items leading into the 2018-19 Australian summer. So I've got about a dozen videos to go between now and the beginning of summer. So guys, without waiting too much longer, let's get into this one. Today we're looking at a customised Shrey ProGuard Titanium batting helmet. Let's get into it. Right guys, so here is the helmet itself, customised version, so embroidered club logo on the front. Coming around to the side of the helmet, this is a titanium grille with the ProGuard lid. Now this one isn't generally available here in Australia, particularly commonly in retail stores. Generally see from a retail perspective, we have the Shrey Masterclass Air titanium helmet. That's the version that you see all the pros wearing. And then the club kind of base version, the ProGuard Steel. So this is this lid with a steel helmet. Underneath that, then there are a couple of versions at the lower end of the market around the armour. I don't know a terrible lot about those due to the fact that I've always been looking for a helmet that is going to protect my head as best as it possibly can. So I generally aim or generally look towards the top of the range.
I had a bit of a problem with the audio here, guys, and so basically what I was saying was the difference between the ProGuard Titanium helmet and that top of the range Shrey Masterclass Air Titanium is about 50 grams, and so I wanted to stay at the bottom end of that.
Right guys, let's go and talk about this one. So this is this helmet itself is actually a second version of the helmet. It's a Mark II, and the easiest way to pick that up is by these side pieces here. You can see this is actually a plastic piece which says Shrey. It says Shrey on both Shrey, and then embossed is titanium underneath there. That is actually a navy bit of plastic. On older versions, it was a sticker that sat over the top there, and so you can see the actual unremovable or non-reversible screws sitting there in there as well. This is the second version of Shrey helmets released with a fixed grille, which if you're used to other helmets, it is quite narrow. I'm not going to try and kid that, guys. I am an amateur woodworker, so I do have some calipers here as well. I hope you're able to see there that is zeroed off. Now, I put it into the kind of centre of the grille because you're supposed to look with both of your eyes at the bowler. So guys, in taking that measurement, comes in at close enough to 43.5 millimetres. I did measure my old Missouri prior to selling it, and it was sitting at a bit over the 60 mark, and I thought I had that quite narrow. And guys, just to give you the bit of the ball test there, I do have an old white ball here, and putting it face up to the grill, there's really only about half of it that is ever inside the grill, so you have to go with a lot of force. I was out to dinner last year with my wife and some work colleagues, and it came up about the Phil Hughes incident where Phil got hit and unfortunately passed away. And my wife asked what version of helmet that I was using, and I made a bit of a comment under my breath about I'm still using the same version that Phil Hughes was. And I almost marked the day in the calendar because I think it'll be the only time that my wife ever instructs me to go and actually buy cricket gear. And she said, "Well, you better solve that then because I want you in the most up-to-date version of the helmet." My preference was probably to go to Missouri because I was very, very happy with the Missouri, but my head was an in-between size for the Vision series helmets, and the original Mark II wasn't out yet. So that was so Shrey was not necessarily my first choice, but it's was closest to my existing helmet, which I was very, very happy with. And of course has those added enhanced safety features on them as well. So let's go around and actually look at those pieces. So as we mentioned, titanium grille, nice and light and nice and strong as well. We have the ProGuard earpieces. So these are a foam earpiece that are placed in at the top and then stuck on with some glue at the bottom. So removable front of head padding or sweatband, and then there are on the inside some further pieces of padding in there as well, which are non-removable, strangely enough. The old Missouris, they was removable, but for some reason they're actually stuck down in the Shrey. Now guys, I have needed to do a customisation of this guy to get him to fit my head. I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but I've actually converted this guy to being the same back of head closing system that was on the Mark 1. What they introduced on this guy, and I'll pop a photo of it up here, was actually a fully adjustable system. So you could put the helmet on and adjust the helmet at the back. The old versions, you had to adjust the Velcro. I've needed to do that because what I actually found was the buckle sat, that particular adjustable buckle sat right on the corner of my helmet in underneath. So if I got hit there, instead of distributing the impact of the ball onto my head, across my head, I felt that it was actually going to intensify that onto a single point. Not a particularly good design feature from my perspective, and so I did get in and I did remove that and sew it back together. I'm quite handy with the sewing myself, and so I did hand sew that together. The other piece that I've done is I did actually take that leather or pretend leather piece or comfort padding at the back of the helmet off, as I felt it was too big, because the Shrey helmet is actually round and our heads are a little bit elliptical. So I felt that it didn't actually give me a very good fit, and I have taken it off. Now, at the time I decided to do that, I did do a bit of research first and looking at international players and their helmets. I believe at the time, this was prior to the ball tampering piece, I do believe that Steve Smith, I couldn't actually see that piece of padding at the back, and I believe that Steve Smith had done so. The original versions of like the Albion helmets, for example, didn't actually have a back of head strap. So you had to adjust the size by the padding. Same thing with the original Mark II from Missouri. It doesn't have that back of head piece as well. That, for me, even though it's not how the product was designed, for me, I found that to be much, much safer, and I made that customization or that adjustment quite early in the piece. Otherwise, guys, the Shrey helmet is quite similar to the earlier version and the later versions prior to the Missouri going to the Vision series. Just some quick ventilation pieces on top. We had quite a humid summer here in Brisbane last year, and what I quite liked about the removable sweatband is it is nice and quick to actually take off. You can wipe it with a towel quite quickly and gets rid of that moisture. You can put it back in and your helmet's reasonably comfortable again. I would probably have the preference to have two of these guys, so if you are having a lengthy innings, you can exchange them or change them out. Alright guys, time to go through and give a rating of this particular product. So for my products that aren't bats, I give them a rating out of 10. The first criteria being design and functionality, that's how well thought out the product is. The second one is in regards to the build quality and the material quality, so that's how well the product is built, actually put together and finished off. And the third area is any customizations that I might have needed to do to get the product fit for me. Design and functionality. Really like the fixed grille. That's not an issue for me. It did take me probably a couple of sessions to get used to it. My original thought pattern was to use my old helmet for training, my new helmet for games. I changed that pretty quickly because of the difference between the actual grills. If this is the first time you're wearing a helmet, yes, you're going to struggle with getting used to this one, unless you're a really young cricketer. I've been playing cricket, men's cricket, for about 15 years, and I didn't struggle significantly to make the change. It's just about realising that it's a better position for you, and it is something that's new. If you've been using the same helmet for a length of time, it will be new, it will be different, and so you will notice that. Guys, the next piece in here in regards to the design that I'm not particularly over the moon about, and that is the back of that head strap. Like I said, I felt it was actually a safety issue. I don't think that's a particularly good functionality piece. I really like the idea, but at the top end of the helmets, if you're paying over $200 for a helmet, your likelihood of sharing it with a friend is pretty slim. I think it's a good functionality on those lower grade helmets that might be kit helmets, but I just don't think it's warranted on a top grade helmet. Well, the other piece that I generally do it anyway, but I had an absolute need to do it, and that was to sew the actual chin strap down. I don't use the chin cup because I've never liked them right from being a junior cricketer. I needed to actually sew it down because as you were batting, the helmet, this buckle would actually loosen off. So that's probably something that I think Shrey should look at tightening up and putting potentially some grooves on the inside of that buckle to mean that it doesn't loosen off on you. The one piece that is actually a little bit different with this particular version of the helmet, I'm not sure how well we'll be able to pick it up, but it is actually a square, or it is actually more of a square grill to give you a little bit more space away from your face. which I thought actually was quite a good feature and design thought. Alright guys, the next piece here is actually in the build and the material quality. Build quality is pretty good. Remember, this is a mass-produced product. It's not hugely expensive the way that the Missouris are. And so for me, it's finished as well as I would be expecting. The last piece here, guys, is any customizations that I've needed to get the product fit for purpose. No customizations here to get the product fit for purpose for me. I did need to do a little bit of re-gluing towards the end of the season of the earpieces down, and that was just due to the fact that I've been using the helmet quite a bit. I have been quite critical of that back of head design and functionality piece, and so I'm not marking it down in the customization. So for me, guys, this product is a 7 out of 10 in its original form, and that's with the back of head strap. With that adjustment removed and my custom or my adjustment made for my feeling to have the product safer, it's a solid 9 out of 10. It's right up there with the Missouri, and like I said, the Missouri helmet didn't fit my head, so this is a much safer product. So guys, that basically completes the review of the helmet itself. What I'm going to do now is talk about the actual customization process to get an embroidered logo in onto the helmet, because it's something that you can't do after retail. Now, just want to make something nice and clear here. For this next particular segment of this video, I'm talking about a business in quite positive light. In no way is my club, nor am I endorsed, affiliated, supported, or sponsored by this particular business in any way whatsoever. This is simply my opinion of the example or the business that I've had with them through 2 different clubs for 2 different products, and it's a very positive experience. So just want to make that nice and clear. My thought pattern is, when I decided I wanted a customized helmet, was basically to look at the Shrey website and who were their distributors. In finding out what some pricing looked like, it made the helmet close to $150 more expensive than retail pricing. For me, a $10 embroidery piece on the front of your helmet isn't worth paying an extra $150. Then I have remembered that I dealt with a business based here in Brisbane called Belter Sports back in my previous club. We'd done an order of some customised stumps, so that was stumps with that were stickered up for some club advertising for our club development. I went back onto the Belter Sports website and found that they have a club page or a clubhouse page that allows you to basically have your orders there, and they can run the club shop. I also noticed that they did a price for the helmets. So I emailed James on a Tuesday morning about 9 o'clock, just asking some indicative pricing, and he came back to me with pricing timeframes and lead times we need to make, and the minimum number of orders. Now, this particular product doesn't really retail in Australia, but I was able to get a helmet for 2. It was about $235. The top of the range version was $270, and it was actually retailing in stores here in Australia for $300 last year. So buying a customised version of the helmet was actually cheaper than going to a retail store and buying it yourself. Now, what I needed to do is drum up some support from the guys in my club to meet the minimum order number. I believe we needed to make a minimum order number of 6, and we got 7. I can't recall prior to doing this video exactly the numbers, but we got 1 or 2 more than what the minimum order number was. That process was very good through James in Belter Sports. He provided some mock-ups of what our logo would look like on the helmet that we could use for our advertising piece, and also on the club shop in his website. This is the real kicker for this process that I really liked. That club shop is fantastic. How many times in club cricket do we actually get in and you're needing to make an order, guys say, yeah, I'm keen, and you struggle to get money out of them. Using the club shop, all of the ordering and payment process is done through the Belter Sports club shop, and if they have not paid their money, their order does not count. So you don't end up with a product that the club then is essentially customised, and things like shirts that might have people's names on the back. You don't end up with customised products that you subsequently can't sell on. So this is the best piece. Orders are not placed until they are paid for in the Belter Sports club shop. At the end of your order time, James and the team close down the club shop and they make their order with whichever one of the suppliers of the items that you have ordered. It's a great process. Now, because it's a customised product, these need to be made out of the Shrey factory in India. So there is about a 6 to 8 week lead time on it. So you need to account for that and if it's in the height of cricket season or leading into early cricket season, That's more towards the 8 end of the mark, which is exactly what it was for us. James kept us informed along the way how our actual number of orders were progressing. I managed that for the club. I drove that up and had that relationship with James and the team at Belter Sports, and so I then needed to do a bit of pestering of guys to get their orders made, because of course, to get them for the first round, you needed to make the order 2 months. Guys really aren't thinking about cricket yet at that stage, so you do have to be persistent for it. As I mentioned, Belter Sport kept us informed on how things were progressing, and we did have a little bit of problem with things in customs and taking a little bit of time to clear the customs. So we did have them the last week before our regular season started for the majority of for our lower grades. So that's grades 3 to 6. 1s and 2s started a couple of weeks before them. So we had one of our first graders that did not have his helmet in time, which I was a little bit disappointed with, but the helmets arrived right on schedule to what James instructed that they would. Going through that particular process, because it's a service, basically look at the communication process. That's how well the business communicated with us, how good their information was to what was actually delivered. So in both cases, I can't fault James and the team at Belter Sports, and this is the main reason for saying at the beginning of the video, this is not a paid or sponsored endorsement from the guys there at all. I've just had a very, very good experience from those guys on the order of these helmets, as well as those customised stumps. So for his communication, 10 out of 10, whether I needed him to give me a call, responded to emails quickly, whatever the questions I asked with inside an email was really quite great. I can't fault it. He even did one step further for us, because I am a member of one of the online cricketing forums, and I had heard about some cracking occurring in the actual helmet melt, the face guard helmet mounts. He actually went and researched those for us, contacted the supplier, and gave us an honest opinion. Now, when I did mention that to some people, they were like, yeah, of course he's not going to fault the product that he stocks. He has in the past, and did instruct that he has actually worked for the quality control of some of the other brands. So if there was a fault, he would not recommend them to them, because he prides his business quality on the quality products that he does provide. So went the extra mile for us in that communication process. In regards to what he said was going to be delivered to what was, no faults there whatsoever. No changes in price, no changes in delivery time, and good with what some of those hold-ups might have been along the way. So Belter Sports, 10 out of 10 from a very, very happy customer from my angle, and it was a nice seamless piece, and that club shop is just worth its weight in gold. Right guys, that pretty much closes out this review video. As always with any of my videos, quite happy to take any questions or any comments that you might have. Drop those down in the comments section. And guys, one final piece from me. If you're a long time watcher of bat and ball cricket, but not a subscriber, sign up to YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Not only do my videos pop up in your feed, and you can set the notification for those as well if you like. I actually get quite a thrill with the iPhone going off and telling me that it's a cricket tragic or a cricket fanatic, whichever you might be, that has subscribed to my channel. If this is your first time here and you've made it all this way, hit that subscribe button as well, guys. Right guys, stay tuned over the coming weeks, because I am going to endeavour to release a video a week or thereabouts, because I've got quite a backload to get through leading into the Australian summer. Right guys, this is Clinton from Bat and Ball Cricket. We'll catch you again really soon. Bye for now.